You know, if you're responsible for script automation or even better yet, tool making at your company, then you've probably been searching for a really good script editor. You have a tendency to outgrow the free ISE pretty quickly, both in the complexities of what you're doing and the features that you might need. Well, you've obviously run across SAPIEN Technologies, and they make the premier scripting editors. The challenge is they make two of them. Now, I get a question from students in class all the time and fellow admins. Which one should I be using? Well, what I'm going to do in this brief video is take you through the differences between the two so that you can make the right decision when it's time for you to purchase a premier scripting editor. SAPIEN Technologies makes two premier scripting editors, and they both share a lot of, well, almost all of the same features, things that you would expect from a premier scripting editor, like it has syntax coloring, inline IntelliSense called PrimalSense. They both allow me to package and make executables. They allow me to have easy script signing. And one of my favorite features is they both let you do remote script execution and remote script debugging. This is really great if you have like a Bastion server where all your scripts are and where they execute from. But the important thing is, and what the challenge is that they have two distinct differences. And these differences, well, those are what's going to affect your purchasing decision. So let me take you through the differences between the two products. I'm going to start with PrimalScript. Now, PrimalScript has been out for a long time. In fact, this was originally released in 1998, and a lot of us use PrimalScript for a very important reason. Let me just kind of show you over here. I'm going to go to File and New, and here are all the different scripting languages that PrimalScript understands. In other words, there are 54 different languages you can work with, and in everything from JavaScript to XML to VBScript to PowerShell. You know, I used to have to do a lot of Perl and a lot of WinBatch. Yep, I said WinBatch. That brings back both good and bad memories. But it also supports the .NET languages, so you can do C# and VB.NET. This is the primary reason for using PrimalScript. It's an enterprise package. A lot of us used to call this, and still do today, a universal scripting environment, simply because I got one package, it does everything I need it to do, and it allows me to go into any environment that has a plethora of platforms. Sorry about using the word plethora, but a bunch of platforms that all use different scripting languages. I've got one tool I can work on everything with, and I can support it with. And that's its primary advantage, is that if you're in an environment that has more than just, let's say, PowerShell, this is probably going to look like the best tool for you. And as a matter of fact, let me give you a quick example. As a web guy, I work on web stuff all the time. So let me go to my homepage, and you can see I've got scripts open here already for PowerShell, and notice the syntax coloring, all of that. I've got VBScript open that's part of the project, an XML file, PHP. I've also got an HTML file. Now, the cool thing about things like HTML is I can change the view, and also it can show me what the output of the HTML is going to look like, and I can also modify it from the toolbox. These are great characteristics of an enterprise scripting package that lets you do everything you need to do. Well, then why would SAPIEN have another package called PowerShell Studio? Let's take a look at that one. In this case, I'm going to minimize PrimalScript, and let's go ahead and open up PowerShell Studio. Now, you can tell right away that it looks a little bit different. As a matter of fact, it kind of looks a little bit like Microsoft Visual Studio, so it has a little bit of a different look and feel. Now, like I said, this has all of the same features, except for one in this case. Let me go over here to New and show you, just go right to it, what this one does differently. I'm going to say New Form. Oh, did he say New Form? Yes. And I'm going to create, in this case, let's just do a grid form right now, and I'll just make something up as I go. Oh, hey, the whole screen changed, and suddenly, you know what this is? This is a Windows application. All of a sudden, I can now create a Windows app. This isn't like the VBScript days with HTAs. This is a real Windows application, and it's all done in PowerShell. And how they make this easy is, yeah, over here you can go look at the script and see all of the code, but in the designer view, they make this really simple. You just click on or drag over whatever Windows control you would like, and then you can double click on it and just put in the PowerShell code that you want. In fact, let me just play a little trick here. I'm going to go in and on this button load event, just so you can see it work, I'm going to add something. Now, one of the nice things that I like is that Sapien's always trying to provide you with help. So I'm basically going to add this line that they've provided as, you know, a good instance of how things work. I'm just going to change it a little bit. I'm going to make a variable called $services, and I'm going to set that equal to get service. I'm going to trim out the output a little bit and change it to, let's see, let's do this. Let's do select object, and I'll do, yeah, notice all the IntelliSense and stuff. Yeah, it's really kind of cool. Very helpful when you're working on it. And you'll also notice that as I've been typing, there's a full help file here at the bottom. But enough of the overall features. Let me just show you my example. I'm just going to take name, status, and display name. And with that, whoops, it would help if I typed display name completely. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to stick it in this grid control. And how I'm going to do this is I'm just going to kind of look at their little help file, because they're always so handy with those. And I'm going to use load data grid, and there's a parameter called data grid view, and that's how I'm going to utilize the results. And I'm going to take my results and shove them in there. So $services, and I need to spell it correctly. So live demos, gotta love them. So at this point, I've made a change to the designer. I've made a change to this load button. Why don't we run this and see what happens? We're just going to run it. Now it's going to ask me to save this. So I'm going to save this as test number 3 or close to it. And let me show you, I'm going to minimize this. This is an actual Windows application that I just made, just right in front of your eyes. I'm going to click load, and there it is. Now I know you might be kind of saying, well, that's kind of cool, but that's actually really cool. So here's the business situation. If you're the tool maker and you've been making, you know, building modules with commandlets for other admins, you're probably going to start to run across a situation where you need to build some tools for people like help desk or possibly end users. Well, right now, teaching help desk how to run PowerShell is probably not a really good option, and users, certainly not. So the easiest thing for them, well, is to have a graphical application. I can now package this into an exe, an executable, and deploy it however I see fit. And I've built a perfectly good Windows app for those users. Now, here's the little bit of a drawback to PowerShell Studio. It makes great Windows applications. This is a full-featured Windows application editor, plus a full-featured PowerShell script editor. Notice I said the word PowerShell. The only language supported is PowerShell, and the reason is quite simple. There's a I'm about to use that word plethora again. There's a bunch of new admins that they're doing new automation for their companies. They don't have to support older languages or other languages from other systems. The only thing they need to do is make PowerShell tools. Well, in this case, PowerShell Studio makes PowerShell tools and makes graphical applications as a tool if you need that as well. Now, how did I make the decision? Let me show you. I'm going to close this application, and you can see down here on my taskbar how I made the decision. Quite honestly, I work in environments where I need multiple scripting languages, and now I work in environments where I need to make tools for help desk and end users. Times are changing, and I need to be able to make some graphical applications. So I purchased both tools out of my own pocket because it was best for my career that way, because I need to be effective at my job. Now, I'm not suggesting that you do the same thing. I'm simply saying, look at the differences between the two products and choose the one that best suits your needs. If you're somebody that has to work with a lot of different languages, or you think you're going to have to, then PrimalScript is the direction for you. If you're PowerShell only and that's the way you're going to stay, and you want to be able to make graphical apps, perfect. Then PowerShell Studio is the right product for you. In my case, I need to be able to do both. Now, it turns out that if I were to sit down and look at it, I probably use PrimalScript about 80% of the time. And that's because I've been using it for so long. I'm so familiar with it. But I now, about 10 to 12% of the time, do actually make graphical applications. So they both paid for themselves the first time I used them. So I have both, but hopefully from this video, you found enough information so that you could make the right decision for your purchasing option. And matter of fact, that Windows thing was so cool. I think I'm going to go back and just make some more just because it's fun.